Today I want to talk about writing, and I want to talk about writing at the earliest grade levels because, like reading, writing at the earliest grade levels is automatically and naturally going to be a challenge, mainly because the kids who are trying to write at the beginning grade levels don't have access to all of the code that they need for all of the sounds that are in the words that they want to write. For example, if I am in kindergarten and I know my individual letter sounds, that doesn't help me write the word now, or her, or she, or the, or boy, or girl, because I don't have the th, or the ow, or the or the oi. All of those sounds are like another dimension of the alphabet. Those letters, when they come together, have entirely different sounds that they can make. So when we look at really writing, what we're looking at that makes it difficult to teach is the very thing that can make reading difficult for students, which is lack of access to the code, what you need to put together the words you want in your story. That's everything. That's not just a little, that's everything. It's not any fun to play with a puzzle that you don't have all the pieces of. It's just not. And I'll say this one more, I'm going to throw this analogy out one more time before I hit these core targets with the writing strategies. But if somebody gave you a puzzle for Christmas or for Hanukkah and they gave you a third of it, and that's it, just a third of a puzzle. Now imagine that puzzle is reading and writing. It's the code. It's the code that you need. The ow, the ing, the or, the sh, and the ah, buh, kuh, duh, all the sounds you need to put words together to take them apart. If your puzzle consists of only a third of the pieces that you need, you're not going to take that puzzle out and play with it because there's nothing you can really do with it if you're missing 2/3 of it. The next Christmas, if you get another third of that puzzle, well, now you have 2/3 of the puzzle. It's a little bit better, but you're still really not going to be drawn to that puzzle. You're not going to get much value out of enjoying that puzzle because you still don't have everything you need to put it together to have it actually mean anything or be anything. So until the third year, when you get all of the pieces of your puzzle, then maybe you are going to be excited to pull it out and start playing with it and enhancing your puzzle making skill abilities, puzzle solving. But it won't be until you have all the pieces that you're really going to get any value out of the time you spend dealing with that puzzle, or at least that you're going to get the maximum value out of that puzzle activity. So you won't have a desire to do it because there's really no point to do it if you don't have the pieces you need to put together what you want. And I think when kids are trying to read or write, especially when they're trying to write, if I don't have what I need to use the words that I want, to tell the story that I'm excited about sharing, and all I really have at my disposal are whatever the words are you've given me on the word wall, I don't care. I'm not interested. I don't want to write a story about what I did over the holidays if the only words I can copy down are boy, girl, it, she, do good, big, furry, brown dog, cat. First of all, what the heck am I going to say about the holiday if that's all I have? I can't even get the word the down unless I copy it. And yeah, I could copy the word the, but do you know how just redundant and what's the word I'm looking for? Monotonous it's going to be if every single word I have to find in whole form and then just hope that the word I happen to want is going to be up there somewhere accessibly in whole form. And if we try to give kids every word under the sun that they could possibly want to use, then we have a word wall that looks like a crazy place that nobody even wants to visually see because it's overwhelming. So the real key here is building blocks that kids need to create thousands of words. If you tell me that, if I know, for example, that OW and OU play really rough and somebody always gets hurt and says, ow! And then, of course, superhero O is flying overhead because he's their all-time favorite superhero. And anytime he flies by, they'll always stop and go, oh, because they love him. So that's the default sound for words like flow, glow, slow. So if I have this ow sound, and then I know for reading this alternative sound, I can crack words like now, how, cow, flower, about. So the world's my oyster. I can write all of those words that I need the ow sound to put together. And likewise, I can read them. So you start to see how that connection forms between reading and writing. If I have the ow sound, I can use it to build words, and I can use it to take words apart, like huh, ow, how. So giving access is the key. It's not that you're overwhelming a kindergartner by teaching them a phonics skill. This is just a story. It's just a story. These guys play really rough and somebody always gets hurt and says, ow! Just a story. Kids will walk around and go, ow, ow, ow. That's all they need to do. You are going to be modeling how this key unlocks so many doors. So many doors. Doors that they're going to see in their math problem. Doors that when it says, how many ducks do you see? Well, when they're looking at the ducks and you're reading those problems, there's the ow in the word how. Or if you see a picture of a cow at the farm on your field trip, or if the lunch menu has powdered milk on it. Anywhere, everywhere that you have an opportunity to model what this key can unlock, do it, because that's what's going to let kids get a chance to jump on the merry-go-round. And that's what this should be. It should be a merry-go-round, not a bus stop that leaves kids behind where you teach certain parts of the phonics skill code and then you move on the next week. And if they didn't learn this, then they don't have that. And then if they're behind, you have to go back at the expense of these skills to teach those. That's how kids get further and further behind. A merry-go-round you can't miss. It just keeps spinning. Opportunities are constantly there and they're abundant. And that's really the beauty of if you see phonics outside of a skill set and instead you connect it to what kids already understand, what kids already know, you get the benefit of their life experience, their universal experiences, no matter what their language base is, no matter what their home situation was. Everybody knows how it feels when you get hurt and go, ow! How quickly they can jump on that boat and start applying it, seeing it in a word, using it to write a word. That's what's going to vary from kid to kid to kid. And that's fine because there's no expectation with a story. It's not a skill that we're teaching. We're not a waitress forcing it on them and then waiting for mastery to give them the next piece. It's a buffet. We're just giving them access to something that they're going to need, and they're going to need it in kindergarten. They're going to need it maybe in pre-K whenever they feel the need to start pulling things together as a writer or making sense of text as they see it as a reader. The first question kids should be asking when they know the letter sounds are, how come it doesn't do it there? So if I know T says t, but then I see the word the every time I turn around, I'm going to want to know why that word's not t-e. And it's so handy if you can tell me, because those letters don't get along and they're not supposed to sit together ever. They're not allowed to be together. Just like we have some kids in here that can't be together. They can't be together either. But they don't listen. So every chance they get, guess what they do? They get together. And whenever they get together, they always do exactly the same thing. They stick their tongues out at each other and go, and that's the sound they make, which is why they can sit together. But guess what? Pick up any book, look at any page, guess who you see? Over and over again. T and H, doing what they're not supposed to. Now, if you just arm kids with that, and you could tell that to pre-K, think how many words you've unlocked for them. This, they, them, those, the. Think how many words now they can sit down and access the sound they need to write, to build those words. Why should this be a first grade skill? Why should kids have to wait a year to get it? Think how many hours every day, every week, every month kids are sitting with built-in reading and writing activities going on all the time, every day in pre-K and kindergarten. And you're not going to let them have that until first grade? Officially, formally, that's ridiculous. Because how do you power up the instructional value of the time that we're already using to read and write if we don't give kids what they need to read and write with? And there's a way. It doesn't have to be phonics skill. It doesn't have to be developmentally inappropriate. We can power up what's already there and let them use those deeply entrenched, understood pathways, social and emotional connections, to cheat and give access, and access is the key, to things they're not even supposed to know or have the ability to know or have. But they can, because they're simply just an extension of their own behavior, their own decision making. When letter behavior mimics kid behavior, kids have access to understand it, to make sense of it, and to navigate their way through it as a writer and as a reader. So that's where we're going to head. But the importance is really honing in on that thing called the code. Access to the code. That's what starts out the reading and the writing ball rolling.